Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is an historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here. Our chalice lighting this morning will be led by one of my lifelong friends, Carolyn.
Our chalice lighting this morning is On Community by the Reverend Dr. Hope Johnson. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best as we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one.
As we gather, we acknowledge that Arlington Street Church occupies the ancestral homeland of the Massachusetts. By making this land acknowledgement, we recognize, honor, and affirm the sovereignty of all First Nations peoples. For our Introit this morning, some of you may be familiar with the song We Shall Be Known, and we invite you to join us in singing. Good morning. Welcome to our Zoomers and welcome to the congregation gathered in person. I'm Rebecca Reed. Reverend Beth is on summer sabbatical, as is Director of Music Mark David Buckles and the Arlington Street Church Choir. Reverend Parisa will lead us in worship in September. Reverend Ali and I are joined by Shay and Hyungju. Thank you, friends. I'm excited to welcome some guests who are here today from Ferry Beach, a Unitarian Universalist camp that I attend each summer in Maine. I sing with them in worship services each morning when we're there. Some of them will help lead us in hymns this morning, and Shay has graciously welcomed them to join us up at the front. Today's service is about being called into purpose, and this community is one where I feel like I've been called into my purpose many times. Another special welcome to my friends who are here from my childhood congregation in Sharon, both online and in person. It means the world to me that you're here today. And a very special thanks to our volunteers here in the sanctuary, tech team, greeters, ushers, and coffee hour hosts. If you're new, we are so glad you're here. If you'd like to know more about Arlington Street, please visit ascboston.org. There's a link where you can sign up for the weekly e-newsletter snapshot, which will resume this fall. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Good morning. A warm welcome to this morning's preacher, Rebecca Reed. Rebecca is a third-generation Unitarian Universalist. She grew up attending the Unitarian Church of Sharon and is now on the worship committee at Arlington Street, and she sings in our choir. Rebecca is a middle school special education English teacher entering her 8th year of teaching in Boston this fall. In her free time, she loves to teach herself how to play piano and enjoys long walks around the city. Today's flowers on the pulpit are donated by Rebecca and her family in honor of Sally Lieberman, who is a director of religious education in our UU congregations and at Ferry Beach. Sally died last year. She dedicated her life to helping children and youth grow, and she would have loved to be here in person today. We know her spirit is very much with us. If you haven't already downloaded today's order of service, it's available in the chat and on the homepage at ascboston.org. For our guests here in the sanctuary, there are printed copies at the great doors. It continues to be a hot summer here. There are pitchers of cold water in the back. Please help yourself at any time during the service. If at any time you need help, our ushers are here to support you. Let's do all we can to take care of each other. As we begin our greetings, I invite the Zoomers and those here in the sanctuary with a device handy to please say hello in the chat and tell us where you're zooming in from today. And now Keith is going to turn the camera on the in-person congregation as we wave and smile at each other, as well as at our friends in the Zoom room. And you all in the Zoom room can wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another, heart to heart. Our first hymn this morning is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing. The words are printed in your order of service, in the chat, and in the teal hymnal.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is when our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space and the good of our stir within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and have a joy or sorrow to share this morning, please type it in the chat. Zoomers are invited to light silent candles at home. Those in the sanctuary are invited to light a silent candle at the table up front to the right of the Gleason podium. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
A candle of sorrow from Fran Peterson. In loving memory of my bride, Michelle, it has been 4 years today since she left this world for her next adventure. Each moment without her feels like an eternity, and yet she remains with me in every heartbeat and thought. I cherish the laughter we shared, the love that defined our journey, and the memories that continue to light my path. Michelle will always be my home. My wish is that one day we will be together again to laugh, hold hands, and talk about this crazy time while she has been away. A final candle of sorrow from Nancy wrote, a candle of sorrow at the August passing of my Aunt Hazel von Rosenbinge, a warm, wise, witty, and welcoming woman and lifelong Unitarian. She always had an extra seat at her table. Love to my Lowe and Von cousins, dear Hazel, presente.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
We have one candle of joy today from Fran Peterson. A candle of joy for the enthusiasm that has been ignited this week in Chicago. May the positive energy spread far and wide across this country. May we remember that we are better together than apart, and may the better angels of this country guide us in November toward a brighter future of acceptance and inclusion for all.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
For all the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, and for the world. Amen.
Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor, y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Our next hymn is number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. Please rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing. There'll be two parts. You can sing either part if you know them both. It might be a little easier to join in singing with the choir, following the melody.
Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum honored Juneteenth this year, commemorating the emancipation of people who were enslaved in the United States. One of the activities they offered was a screening of a documentary about Black, queer, and trans narratives in Boston. It amplified the stories and experiences of Bostonians who continue to build and thrive locally. One of the most powerful moments in the film was when someone said, "I will never forget the power of someone calling me into my purpose." When I think of purpose, I think of it as an intentional commitment to a goal that can help provide us with a sense of direction. It can help connect us to the larger world and can in turn make a positive impact on the greater community. Reverend Frederick Buechner once said, "The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." As Unitarian Universalists, we might paraphrase that to say, the place to which we are being called is the place where deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Being called into that interaction of gladness and hunger, being called into our purpose, is very different from finding our purpose. Being called into purpose can involve someone in your life seeing the gifts that you bring to a community, naming them for you, or providing a space for you to act on those strengths. Being called into our purpose is lifelong and doesn't stop when we graduate from college and get a degree. It doesn't stop when we get that job we've worked exceptionally hard to get. And it doesn't stop once we've reached retirement. It is something that happens continuously over our lives, over and over, as we explore new opportunities and meet new people. A call into our purpose can come from our best friend who knows us very well. And it can also come from someone we've met just once. As a middle school English teacher, I spend every week working with students who are learning about themselves and what their purpose is in life. My students have taught me the importance of intentionality around language. We have the power to see and name talents that others might not yet see in themselves. And that can provide a starting point for people to embark on a path of complete and pure gladness as they realize gifts they might not have never known they had within them. The idea of providing a starting point for someone to spark their call to purpose made me think of the experience of a student who was an 8th grader at the school where I taught in East Boston. I'll call him Luis. Within the first month of school, it was evident that Luis had tremendous talent in writing. The teachers in the English department talked about how impressed they were with his ability to create vivid images, develop characters, and build suspense. At the beginning of the year, he was very self-conscious about sharing his pieces in front of the class, thinking that his work wasn't anything particularly special. He would come up to the front of the room and spoke softly, his hands fidgeting with his shirt as he read. His teacher, Mrs. A, occasionally hosted lunch groups in her classroom with a few students at a time. She invited Luis and a few of his friends to share lunch together, and as the year progressed, she slowly built his confidence in his ability to write fiction by naming the writing techniques he was already using instinctively. In his free time at home, he started writing a story about basketball. Sometimes he'd bring his writing to share over lunch, and by the end of the year, he had 9 chapters written. Fast forward 4 years to 12th grade. Mrs. A shared with me that she swung by the high school to drop off writing portfolios that she had held on to since Luis and his classmates were with her in 8th grade. She gave them to their current English teacher. She wanted them to see how far they had come since they were with her in middle school. "Mrs. A?" She heard her name shouted with enthusiasm from down the hallway. She looked up, and before she could say anything, she heard, "Guess what? My book has 28 chapters now. I've shared it with my new English teacher, my family, and my minister from church." Luis was beaming from ear to ear. Mrs. A told me he was glowing, the kind of radiance that shows deep pride in one's work, the kind that told her Luis was starting to realize what he was capable of. This is the power of calling someone into their purpose, pointing out a person's strengths and helping provide a starting point. Luis had someone important in his life name what he was good at before he believed in it himself, and that changed his perspective on what he was capable of accomplishing. In Unitarian Universalist communities, we are exceptional at calling one another into our purposes. During our weekly tea gatherings on Wednesdays this summer, many of you have shared ways that Reverend Kim or other congregants noticed talents in you and invited you to join committees or to help lead events together. You shared how this helped you feel called into your purpose here and help you capitalize on your talents. I came to Arlington Street when I was a new college graduate trying to build a life in Boston after moving from Burlington, Vermont. For the first time, I felt deeply alone because I wasn't in an environment anymore that provided regular social interactions. I had to seek community purposefully and intentionally. After attending a service at Arlington Street, I knew I was home here. I knew I was home because of the music and the sermons that challenged me. What I didn't realize yet was that I'd be called into a new purpose by my minister and find a space where I could have more direction in my life. Kim saw potential in me to be a person who could bring others together, organize events, and help restart our young adult group. She empowered me and another young adult to co-lead the group together. I felt like the work I was doing helped create a space where young adults could gather, share stories about our personal lives, lean on one another, and provide some consistency in our week. Being called into this role provided me with the opportunity to use my strengths in bringing people together and organizing gatherings to help others find a sense of community and belonging. Having someone I admired believe so deeply in me helped me realize a new ability that I had. Today, I continue to lean into that calling and look for ways to bring others together. During a recent poetry slam event, Marcia shared this story of being called into her purpose. In 2004, she was one of hundreds of couples who received a marriage license after the legalization of same-sex marriage in her state. She was scheduled to be married at City Hall and eagerly awaited for the day to arrive. But by the time she and her wife made it to the front of the line, it was 4:00 in the afternoon, and the receptionist said they didn't have space for another wedding that day, and they were told to come back the next morning. Undaunted, they arrived the next morning at 4:30 in the pouring rain. Finally, just before noon, they were legally married. Nonetheless, Martha realized she loved the whole process and wanted to walk others through it. Friends were scheduled to be married a few days later, and Marcia went with them and was there to celebrate. One of the staff approached her to say that he noticed how much exuberance Marcia exhibited as she walked with her friends down the hallway. Her joy in being a part of this important moment in their lives and in our history inspired him to offer her the opportunity to work with him as a volunteer. Her job would be to escort couples from where they filled out their paperwork to the place where the official ceremony would happen. The next morning, she called into work and said she wasn't coming in. Marcia had been called into her purpose by someone she didn't know well at all, giving her a deep sense of meaning and joy. This transformed how she filled her time. Mrs. A, Reverend Kim, and the staff member at City Hall are all examples of the kinds of people who live their lives noticing what brings other people meaning and joy. Noticing the moments people walk with a little more bounce in their step. This morning, I invite you to think about ways you have been called into your different purposes throughout your life. Has it changed from when you were a kid to what you see your purpose is now? Did someone in your life help you realize a talent in you that you didn't yet see in yourself? What was that like? Have you helped call someone into their purpose? Have your words helped encourage someone else to try something new and they realized how much they loved taking part in those moments? When we live our lives with the intentionality of calling other people into their purpose, we move through the world with more kindness, compassion, and love. Our words have the power to inspire and build confidence, and helping others realize their talents can help create a community that is intertwined more deeply. May we all name the gifts that we see in others. May we all be called into our purpose over and over. Amen.
Imagine you're a girl on 10-mile stilts. You travel around the world, taking it all in, and you'll never touch the ground. Is it a blessing or a curse? And if you're too high to be found, are you lost or just rehearsed? Got a heart that opens clear in this cool September dark, and it rests on treetop leaves, and it bursts its little sparks. And sometimes it sings its songs, and it lets its secrets out. Except for one that sears inside, that it cannot live without. But if I tell you, will you take it? Will you shine it up to me? Can you be strong to let me go on and set this freedom free? Set this freedom free. The stars are out tonight. Up here they're ripe to hold. I have learned what comes to those who get too close. I'm no Icarus in flight, and I'm old enough to know that love is patient, but still unyielding. If you leave it long enough, it lets you go. But if I tell you, will you take it? Will you shine it up to me? Can you be strong to let me go on and set this freedom free? Set this freedom free.
Thank you, Shay and Youngju. Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us. And our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. During the summer months, our Share the Plate offerings are saved to use for future emergencies and to help in rescue and rebuilding efforts following natural and unnatural disasters, amplifying our impact around the world. This past Thursday was a very late night for me at work. As a hospital chaplain, this happens a lot. Emergencies come up late. Morning, Allie, what a night last night, huh? One of my colleagues said as I walked in the next day. Yep, I said, I am leaving early today. I don't say it often, and it happens even less than I say it, but I was bound and determined. I was gonna leave at 5. It was 4:50, and I was on the elevator heading back to my office, very proud of myself. The elevator doors opened to a crowd of people. I knew this family. Oh, chaplain, it's like God knew we needed you, and here you are. Here I was, and here I stayed. Part of my sense of purpose is to create a world where we make time for each other and we love each other. I try to do this as much as I can. I know how important this is because I know how much I've needed time and love, something I receive so often at Arlington Street. I think about the many times Reverend Kim anticipated a need and made me feel she had all the time in the world. There's no way she did, but she made me feel that way. I think about how many of you have made time to help me problem solve, made time to hear about my week. Arlington helps me live into my purpose of creating a more loving and more attentive world. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to sustain our beloved Arlington Street. You can give online at ascboston.org or check the order of service for instructions for how to give via QR code, Venmo, or text message. You can also mail a check to the church or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be given to the ushers as they come through momentarily with collection plates. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, Young Jew. If you'd like more Arlington Street in your week, please go to ascboston.org. There are weekly gatherings in the Zoom room for loving kindness, meditation, poetry, yoga, and writing. Join me and Reverend John in the ASC Zoom room for Summer Tea for Times of Change, each Wednesday at 5 p.m. as we all navigate a season of change together. This week's prompt is, let's talk about hope. When do you need it? When have you felt it? Bring your tea or your favorite beverage and be together in community. We need one another. All are welcome. Next Sunday's preacher is Art Nava. Art has attended Arlington Street Church since 2004. He currently serves our Unitarian Universalist Association as a member of the New England Region Congregational Life staff. He was born and raised in El Paso, where he had the joy of living and learning in a truly bicultural, binational community. He now lives in Lowell with his husband, Rich Abreu, and their dog, Spencer. More information and Zoom room links are at ascboston.org. To attend any of them, you don't have to be a member, you don't have to turn on your video or talk if you don't want to, and they are all free. All are always welcome. Following the service, everyone is welcome to join the virtual coffee hour. If you'd like to participate, please answer yes to the breakout room invitation that will appear on your screen. If you're here in the sanctuary, you'll need to go to the Zoom room before the Postlude begins. And if you're here in person, following the service, we'll gather in the Honeywell Chapel right through these doors for a live chat coffee hour. Thanks to all of you who joined in today's service and to all who made it possible. We are all in this together. I love you. Now, I invite you to join in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Please rise in body, rise in spirit to join in singing. The words are found in your order of service, in the chat, and in the gray hymnal.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Before our benediction, I invite those of you in the Zoom room to please reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. And those of you in the sanctuary to please raise your hands, palms out. Send loving kindness to the people to your left and to your right. Send loving kindness to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your heart in Namaste. I bow to the divine in you. The place to which we are being called is where our deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. May we all be called into our purpose over and over. Let us keep the faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. I love you. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. My divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.